Hi, my name's Doug Wilson and welcome back to the channel. Here again to offer another Kundalini yoga class. So obviously still being in lockdown, don't have the opportunity to get out to the studios at the moment. So this is still a great means for us to be able to connect with each other and share the experience and the benefits of Kundalini yoga. And with that being said, if you haven't seen the video prior to this one, I'd highly recommend going and checking it out because it gives a really good insight to the technique that we're going to work with today and getting to see the real world benefits of how applying these techniques to a balanced lifestyle can really help our fundamental health and well-being. If you're new to the practice of Kundalini yoga, this is a perfect lesson because we learn as we go. And for anybody who's familiar with the practice, then you'll understand a lot of the things that we're working with in the context of today's lesson, which is around building strength in the heart center and also developing resistance to disease. So very, very grounding and meditative kriya or yoga set. And I want everybody to approach it with quite an open mind because we're going to be using the technique of mudra, which are energetic hand positions, and also the technique of mantra, which is very fundamental to the practices of Kundalini yoga, but very profound in what it can do when applied in a very systematic way like we're going to use it today. And if you're not used to these techniques or you're not familiar with the practice, try and approach it with quite an open mind and just delve into the experience and see what happens as we go along. So whatever comes up throughout the next hour or so, just be aware of the experience and try not to bring too much judgment to it and just focus on the energy and how you change throughout the practice. And we're going to start off today, we'll delve into a little bit of mantra first, and I'll explain the techniques more as we go along. So just for now, just start to set the intention about how we're going to work with our energy and how we're going to just delve into having our own experience. And I want everybody to just sit in a nice tall position. So bring awareness into the length of the spine. You can sit in a chair like me. I'm sitting in a chair at the moment because I had knee surgery a few weeks ago and it's going to be a few months before I'm back sitting in a seated position. So by all means, sit in a chair with the feet nice and flat on the floor, just naturally hip distance apart. Or if you're a regular Kundalini yoga practitioner or a yoga practitioner, take a seated pose on the ground in what we call easy pose, just with the legs crossed, nice comfortable position. But regardless of the position that you're taking, just come into it now, lengthen through the spine and close the eyes. So just close the eyes down gently. Start to become aware of the physical sensations in the body. So just gently relax the shoulders, relax the muscles in the face, relax the muscles in the eyes, the jaw, the tongue. Sit up nice and tall in the spine. So consciously lengthen through the spine and slightly draw the chin in towards the chest. Don't tilt the head forward, but more tuck the chin in towards the chest and you'll feel a slight lock in the back of the neck. I want you to use that lock in the back of the neck to help lengthen the spine and push the energy from the base of the spine up through the back of the neck and into the crown of the head. So it feels like the crown of the head's pointing up towards the roof. So that nice tall spine gives the rib cage a little bit more room to naturally expand and contract. We're not controlling the breath yet. Just want you to come into a breath awareness exercise. So aware of the natural flow of breath. So feel the inhale and the exhale, just its natural state and natural rhythm. Inhale, exhale, natural. Feeling the temperature of the air come in through the nostrils, out through the nostrils. It's a little bit cooler coming in, warmer coming out. Just start to bring a sense of awareness into the body. So notice that there's the mental fluctuations of the mind, there's the physical vibrations and distortions of the body, and there's the emotional output as well. So start to scan up along the spinal column where there's all those nerve endings of the body around the navel point. You might feel a little bit of nervousness or butterflies around that area, or a little bit of excitement in the stomach. Might be a bit of tension in the chest or some heaviness in the head, in the chest, or there might be a bit of a lump in the throat or that dense feeling around the head. Whatever it may be, everybody's different. Just become aware of those physical, emotional sensations and also aware of the behavior of the mind. So what's the mind doing at the moment? Is it quite busy? Is it quite active? Is it thinking about things completely unrelated to the experience that we're having at the moment. Just bring awareness to all those sensations. And in that sense of awareness, realize that that experience of where the mental fluctuation is and the physical distortion of the body, those very subtle experiences of energy, they're all happening in the same sphere of awareness. So just start to be aware that everything that happens in your experience of reality is all contained within the space, the same space of awareness. And just start to lengthen through the spine, keep a nice tall posture, taking the hands off the knees, placing the left palm in the lap, right palm on top, connecting the thumb tips, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the muscles in the face. Now taking control of the breath. So now consciously lengthening the inhale and keeping the exhale nice and even. So take air into the full extent of your lungs capacity. So start to bring the air all the way up to the tops of the shoulders. Exhale, feeling everything naturally deflate back down. And as you exhale, engage the navel point to ensure it draws back towards the spine. And as you get to the bottom of the breath, the navel point should be drawn all the way in. And then as you inhale, reverse it and start to expand the navel point out. And then as the diaphragm engages, use the diaphragm to open up the base of the lungs and then draw the air all the way up into the tops of the shoulders. So really bringing ourselves to maximum capacity of breath, but not forcing anything, just coming to its natural state of maximum capacity breathing. Exhale, the body naturally deflates, the navel point starts to draw back towards the spine. So inhale, body expands, navel point expands out, bring the air all the way up to the tops of the shoulders. Exhale, naturally deflates, navel point draws back in towards the spine. Eyes are closed, shoulders are relaxed, nice tall spine. Chin slightly drawn in, slight lock in the back of the neck, breathing long and deep and trying to keep the inhale and exhale nice and even. Just go for another minute or so, just getting a feel for how you are at this point in time energetically. And don't worry if there's any frantic thoughts or discomfort in the body, just bring awareness to them. If you feel anything that feels specifically out of place, consciously breathe into that area. So be aware of that area as you bring that air consciously into the body. And then as you exhale, let any tension go. Any tension that you're aware of, consciously let it go. And just each round of breathing, become more conscious. Bring more air into the body. And as I said, we're going to be working with very specific techniques today. And one of those is going to be around mantra. So if mantra is something that's new to you, I want you to take this time to just set an intention that we're just going to learn through our experiences. And we're going to use a mantra to acknowledge that to start off with. And that mantra is Om Namo Gurudev Namo, which means I bow to the infinite wisdom within. It's a way of acknowledging that we will only learn about ourselves through our own experiences. And that's all this class is about today, is to just have an experience and delve into a more subtle realm of energy within the body. So we bring the hands together and rub them, and just as the music starts to play underneath and comes in, just start to bring more awareness into the body through rubbing the hands, creating some heat and friction, but staying with the nice long deep breathing, and then just connecting the thumbs to the sternum. Shoulders are relaxed, hands are together, eyes are closed, still with the long deep breathing as the music starts to come in and the mantra starts to play. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. I bow to the infinite wisdom within. And just mentally vibrate those sounds as they play. Gurudev Namo. Gurudev. Your most conscious, longest, deepest breaths yet. Really feeling the body expand and contract, keeping the eyes closed, keeping the hands there at the heart center. And then as you exhale your next breath, come all the way to the bottom of the breath. So make sure all of the air is locked out of the body. Keep the hands there, the navel points engaged in, air's locked out of the body. Hold the breath out. Then inhale nice and deep through the nose, all the way to the top of the breath. Hold the breath and engage a lock at the base of the spine by contracting the muscles of the rectum, the reproductive organ, and the navel point. We call this technique root lock, and we're going to be using it in a very fundamental ways today. So start to get a feel for creating that lock at the base of the spine. Take another sip of air, engage the lock, pull the lock a little bit tighter, hold it there. Keep the hands at the heart center. Exhale powerfully through the mouth. All the way to the bottom of the breath, engage the navel point in again, hold the breath out. Inhale deep, fill up to maximum capacity of breath. Hold the breath, engage the root lock, so engage muscles of the rectum, reproductive organ, navel point. Draw those in, almost like you're trying to prevent yourself from going to the toilet. Hold it there. Put a little bit of pressure through the palms, lengthen through the spine, push the energy up through that lock at the base of the spine, all the way through to the crown of the head. Hold it there. Exhale powerfully through the mouth. Engage the navel point all the way at the bottom of the breath. Inhale deep. Last time. Inhale deep. Hold the breath. Put a bit more pressure through the hands. Engage the root lock, so that lock at the base of the spine. Hold it. The body should be nice and still, but fully engaged. So press the hands together. Drive the energy up from the base of the spine at the lock all the way through the back of the neck, that lock at the back of the neck, and then up through to the crown of the head. One more sip of air, a bit more pressure through the body, hold, and then gently exhale, releasing the hands down, coming onto the knees, palms facing up, shoulders are relaxed, body's relaxed, spine stays nice and tall. There's that tendency to try and collapse the spine into the exhale, but we want to stay nice and tall, shoulders relaxed, and just watching the natural flow of breath for a moment, just sensing into that subtle change in energy through that opening technique, but keeping with our awareness that we're going to be working with the fundamental energy of the body, the Kundalini, the energy that gives rise, the power to self-awareness. And just relaxing, observing, consciously letting any tension go, natural flow of breath for a moment before we get into a few warm-up exercises. And we're just going to work with the technique of root lock in a bit more detail and get a bit more feeling for the fundamentals of it. So we're going to start off by just isolating each part of the technique. So staying with the flow of breath, I just want you to engage the muscles of the rectum. So still with the same breathing, not trying to hold the breath and engage the technique now, but just as you breathe, just try to engage the muscles of the rectum without using the glutes to tense in or to try and create that contraction, which can be what people do a lot of the time, is they kind of pull the whole glutes in and squeeze that whole area. We're actually trying to isolate stimulating the nerves at the base of the spine. So just slightly draw in a contraction of the muscles of the rectum. Just gently at first, not a very tight lock at this point in time. And then as you feel that engaged, then try to bring in the contraction of the muscles of the reproductive organ. So just bringing those in slightly engaged now. And then just as a final part, just gently engage the navel point. So an area just below the belly button. You might not be familiar with it, but just try to imagine that you're conscious in that area, and you pull that area just below the belly button in towards that contraction of the rectum and the reproductive organ, and still just holding it lightly and staying with that long, deep breathing. So trying to maintain that very stable rhythm with the breath, and then release those locks and just start again. Just gently bring in the contraction of the rectum. Once you get a feel that it's just gently contracted, then bring in the reproductive organ, and then finally bring in the navel point. As you stay with the long, deep breathing, consciously make that contraction a little bit tighter. So just slowly contracting it with each breath. Each round of the breathing, just bring in slightly more of a contraction, until you feel like you've reached the maximum contraction, and then just release it and start again. So just slowly increasing the intensity of that contraction. Rectum, reproductive organ, navel point. Still with the long, deep breathing. You'll notice that those different components are quite hard to coordinate, to try and stay with the breath and then slowly making these contractions. It's not always the most natural feeling technique, but we just want to work with it. And whatever resistance come up or whatever feels a little bit off, just work with those sensations. And if there's any doubt coming up, just work with it and just try to focus on the technique. We'll be using it a few times throughout the practice today, so it's good to just get a feeling for it now. And then just make that your last round, just beginning the final sense of contraction in the rectum, reproductive organ, navel point, slowly increasing the contraction, staying with that long, deep breathing. Last little bit. And then on your next exhale, release the contraction. Keep the spine nice and tall. Relax the body. Relax the shoulders, but then bring the hands up onto the shoulders. So the forefingers are in the front, the thumbs are in the back, and find your breath again. So still consciously breathing, and as we inhale, we twist left. As we exhale, we twist right. There's no stopping in the middle. It's a smooth transition from inhaling left, exhaling right. The entire spinal column moves, including the rotation of the head. It moves as we inhale left, exhale right. And just depending on where you are today, if you're new to the practice, you might stay nice and slow and gentle like this. If you're a bit more familiar and you have a good range of motion through the hips and the spine, might be a bit more powerful. But whichever technique you take, just stay very connected to the breath. Inhale left, exhale right. Or just staying with that nice, gentle flowing movement. Inhale left, exhale right. Just starting to open the body up a little bit. We're opening up that heart center. So we're going to be moving energy through the heart center today with very specific breathing and very specific angles that we put the body in to put certain pressures on certain nerves and parts of the heart to stimulate that, and also to ground us. So one of the reasons that we can fall into poor health or illness is just by having frantic energy in the body and not having a way to ground the body, because this leads to imbalances in the nervous system, where we might have heightened sympathetic nervous system responses, where the body's always engaged and on in this fight or flight mode. So we're just going to bring some grounding into the body and to help with those parts of the body. And that's a lot to do with what that root lock technique does. It helps ground energy in the nervous system. It draws energy or awareness into the body at those lower nerve endings at the base of the spine. So we, again, will be working with that quite extensively in the lesson today. And just coming into the last 30 seconds or so, now that you've got a good feel for what the body's doing, start to just go into a bit more intensity with it. So either speeding up the movement, making it a bit more dynamic, opening the body up just a little bit more, and staying connected to the breath. Last couple of rounds. And then keeping the hands up on the shoulders. Inhale nice and deep. Reset back to the central position. Lengthen through the spine. Engage the root lock. Draw the elbows back towards each other. Make sure that lock's engaged at the base of the spine. Sitting up nice and tall. Holding it just for a little bit more. And then gently exhaling, releasing the hands down onto the knees, palms facing up again, just going back into your natural state of breath. Taking a moment to just observe the subtle flows of energy within the body. Keeping the shoulders relaxed, spine nice and tall. Keep that chin drawn in, slight lock in the back of the neck. Maintaining good posture. Natural flow of breath. And as we'll be working with the heart center today, we're going to do an exercise just to, again, help open up the heart. So if you just gently open your eyes so you can use me as a point of reference. We'll be making fists with the hands. Palms will be facing up, but making fists. The thumbs over the top of the fingers. And as we inhale, we swing the arms back. And then we exhale, we cross the arms in front. Then we inhale, and then we exhale, we throw the fists over the shoulders behind the head. So it's an inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And then just start to find your own pace and rhythm with it. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And it should look quite dynamic and be quite powerful, and it should look like this. Wanting the arms to be going all the way back, drawing the elbows back, and then dynamically swinging the arms in front, dynamically swinging them back. You should feel the body jolting a little bit when it goes to its maximum range of motion. So don't be shy to make it quite rapid and move the body dynamically. If you want to start off slow, get a feeling for the movement, and then just slowly work into it. We've got another 90 seconds or so just to use this technique again to warm the body up, open up the heart center, just get the energy flowing in the body that will then start to systematically move around the body and come into a very specific grounding state. Just going for another minute. Really make the most of this last minute. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Just go for it, last 30 seconds or so. Keep the eyes closed, keep the awareness internal. Again, just whatever comes up throughout the practice, whether it's a mental experience, emotional experience, physical experience, just pay attention to those experiences and focus on treating them with a neutral state of awareness. We really just want to focus on the technique and bring the most out of ourselves through the technique. Let the technique do the work for you. It works in a way that it directly gives us back what we put into it. So really be quite precise with what you're doing and focused on what you're doing and having the intent to get benefit from it. Last couple of rounds. And then inhale, bring the arms back so the elbows are back. Chest is pointing forward. It's being opened up. Hold the breath. Engage the root lock. Squeeze that lock at the base of the spine. Squeeze the fists. Bring the elbows back more. Take one more sip of air. Squeeze the whole body. And then once again, exhale, releasing. Hands back down onto the knees, palms facing up. Shoulders are relaxed. Spine stays nice and tall. And just watching the natural flow of breath again. So not controlling the breath. Just watching the natural state, the natural flow of breath. Just relaxing, consciously relaxing the body. And then if you want to use me for a point of reference, again, gently opening the eyes. And we're just going to do a gentle neck roll here. So whenever we're working with the neck, we always want to start off nice and gentle, get a range of motion that we're comfortable with. We don't want to try and force anything. And we start the technique off by bringing the left ear towards the left shoulder. And as we exhale, the head hangs forward. We bring the right ear over to the right shoulder, the head hangs back. We're inhaling, bringing the left ear back over, exhaling, head's hanging forward. We're drawing a nice big circle with the nose. So inhale as the head hangs back, exhale as the head hangs forward. Find your range of motion. Don't try to force anything. Make sure you're comfortable with how the body is at this point in time before you start just deepening into it and starting to get a little bit of a stretch through the neck. Start to open it up. You might feel a bit of that gristling feeling in the back of the neck. Just moving through that gently. Inhale, head hangs back. Exhale, head hangs forward. Try to keep the spine nice and still, nice and straight. You want to isolate the movement in the neck. So if you feel other parts of the body kind of swaying with the tension of the neck, it might be too tight, then just reduce the range of motion, bringing into the head roll. And just focusing on the tip of the nose, trying to draw that nice big circle. Exhale, head's hanging forward. Inhale, head's hanging back. Last few rounds. Making the last round or two nice and big circles. And then inhale, head back to the central position. Exhale, bring the right ear over to the right shoulder. Head hangs forward. Left ear comes over, head hangs back. Inhaling, exhaling as the right ear comes over again. Once again, finding that nice big range of motion, drawing a big circle with the nose. Taking a moment to notice the difference between going left to going right. You might experience that one side of the body is significantly tighter than the other. Might feel like a completely different exercise from going left to going right. Always important to pay attention to these signals of the body. We need to understand that the way that our body and mind signals back to our conscious state of awareness is through these mechanisms of the body, the nervous system, the mental attributes of ourselves. It's always signaling back to our state of awareness, and it's always trying to give us information. So feeling that tension or tightness throughout the body, that's always just there to let us understand something, that something's out of place or out of balance, or there's some kind of blockage in that area. So use this moment that if you pick up on anything like that, use that technique of consciously breathing into any tension and consciously exhaling and releasing that tension. There's a lot to that technique, and it's something that over time we can master and get a lot more out of using that technique. It's very, very profound in the way that we can release pent-up energy in the body when we're talking about the subtle realms of energy, which we're really going to get into in today's Kriya that will be starting after the exercise. And we're going to move into one more thing to just get a feel for the main set that we'll be working with, and we'll be using a mantra. So just finishing off the last rotations of these neck rolls, keeping with the breath, drawing that nice big circle. Then inhale back to a nice tall central position. Hold the breath briefly, and then keep the spine nice and tall. Gently exhale through the nose. Feel the body deflate around that nice tall spine. Consciously relax the shoulders, relax the muscles in the face. Keep the spine nice and tall. Keep the lock in the back of the neck. And then just staying with the natural flow of breath. And as I was saying earlier, if you're new to the practices of Kundalini Yoga, you might be new to using techniques like mantra, which we used at the start to tune in or to drop into the practice. We use the mantra Om Namo Gurudev Namo. We're going to use two more mantras throughout the rest of this practice. The next one we're going to use we're going to use it in conjunction with that root lock technique as well. The mantra of Hum Hum Brahm Hum relates back to the totality of ourselves within the space that we can call the universe. Its literal translation is we are God. This is a type of mantra I would not normally use within a standard class, within a yoga studio, because as soon as we start to introduce any concept around God, it can be alienating to a lot of people without having a good context behind why we use something like that. We are using it here in the context of not seeing God or divinity or the divine nature of the universe as something that's individualistic and judgmental, but rather something that we can experience simply by experiencing it within our own selves. Because whatever created the fundamental forces that built our universe, those forces run through us. So that's what we're acknowledging within that mantra of Hum Hum Brahm Hum. The way that we'll be using the technique is the mantra will be playing, and I'm going to use a recording of the mantra because it's so precise and it's very good to work with that precision of the mantra. And we'll be joining in with it, so we'll be reciting the mantra and doing that progressive contraction of root lock. So engaging the root lock and slowly making that contraction tighter whilst using the mantra. And if you're new to the practice and you're not comfortable with using something like mantra, then you'll just internally vibrate it. So start off with that mental recitation of the mantra and then try to bring that more into your core and reverberate it throughout your whole being. And if then it does, as the technique goes on, if you feel you get a sense of the mantra and you want to join in chanting it, then by all means do. But all we're doing is cycling through the mantra, repeating that mantra, Hum Hum Brahm Hum, whilst creating that contraction of root lock. And once you feel like you get to that maximum contraction of root lock, then just release it and then start it again. But keep going with the mantra. The breath should be natural. So whatever your breathing does naturally to deal with the technique, just let that happen. So the focus here needs to be on cycling with the mantra and creating that progressive contraction of root lock. So just as we start to hear the mantra play underneath now, once again, close the eyes, keeping the palms on the knees facing up, and just closing the eyes, getting a feel for that mantra, and then just starting to join in with it.
Hum Brahm Hum, 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 Hamiham Brahmam 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 Hamiham Brahmam.
And just slowly start to find your breath again. And then bringing the arms up to 60-degree angles, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, keeping the palms open. The palms would be facing up. Close the eyes, slight lock in the back of the neck, sitting nice and tall with the spine, breathing long and deep. There should be a lock in the elbows, should feel like steel all the way from the shoulders down through to the tips of the fingers. Keep those arms nice and stiff, locked, and try and stay as still as possible in this position. Breathing long and deep. Just be very steady. The pressure will build up. It will start to get a little bit more challenging. Just keep the arms up. Keep that length through the spine. Keep that lock in the back of the neck. Keep driving the crown of the head towards the roof. We're just opening the shoulders up now, bringing the energy into the higher energy centers into the body. So just directing energy upwards. So it's a nice balanced way that we've done the warm up. Again, opening up the heart center, just creating a little bit more current through the body now. So really get the most out of this last warm up posture. And as the challenge starts to come, try to disassociate from it. So even if you do feel pressure or tension throughout the shoulders, don't focus on it. Just be aware that it's there and come into the breathing. Really focus on the breath. And I want you to try and keep the arms up. We're almost halfway through and the challenge of it may start to come a little bit more now, but meet that challenge. Really find stability within the posture and commit to trying to keep it up there for the next minute or so. Start to lengthen into the breath. Call on the breath rather than focusing on any discomfort. Focus on the breathing. Breathing long and deep. Last 45 seconds or so, I want to bring everything in now. So really make sure those arms haven't dropped below 60-degree angles. Make sure everything's still tense like steel. Lock the elbows. Push the hands away from the shoulders. Start drawing them back slightly. Open the chest up. Last few rounds of really, really long, deep breathing now. So 30 seconds to go. Delve into that breath more now than ever. Maximum expansion and contraction of the body. Inhale, body expands. Exhale, body contracts. Last warm-up exercise. Last 15 seconds to go. Keep the hands up there. And then on your next exhale, exhale the breath out of the body fully. Keep the hands up. Engage the navel points drawn in towards the spine. Then inhale, bring the hands to touch overhead. Hold the breath, engage the root lock and stretch up. Stretch all the way from the base of the spine, the lock all the way up to the tips of the fingers. Press the palms together. Take one more sip of air. Now squeeze the whole body. Press the hands together. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Hold, root lock. And then gently exhale, sweep the arms down. Slowly exhaling through the nose. And just gently bringing the hands back onto the knees, palms facing up. Allowing everything to settle, just coming back to that natural flow of breath. That's the end of the warm-up exercises. And now we're going to move into the Kriya. And when we talk about Kriya, we're talking about working with a systematic series of exercises to cause a predictable outcome in the body. And today we're going to be working with the subtle energy of the heart and attributes of the body to build up disease resistance. So working with grounding energy in the body, working with that root lock technique, and working with a mantra that flows on from that mantra, Hami Hum Brahm Hum. And it's It's a mantra that can bring up a bit of resistance within people because of the words that we use within the mantra can be quite confronting to people at times, or just so out of the ordinary realms of what we're used to within a practice of yoga and meditation, that any of that resistance that might come up for you within this practice, again, make that part of the practice. There's no need to shy away from it completely and use that as an excuse to maybe not finish the practice or not try and get the full benefits out of what we're doing. And the mantra that we're going to use in the first technique is actually an affirmation. And what we'll be doing is we'll be interlacing the fingers like this and connecting the thumb tips and resting the palms in the lap. Shoulders are relaxed, nice tall spine, and we'll be basically repeating what we did with the hummy hum brahm hum mantra before, but then just cycling that out for the affirmation of God and me and God are one. And whatever that mantra means to you, more focus on the vibrational quality of it and what it does in terms of your experience. And if you're not comfortable with reciting that mantra, internalize it and just mentally recite it or bring it into the core of your being. But we're using that same technique again, where we'll be going through the mantra, God and me and God are one, and just using that root lock and increasing that contraction while we're using the mantra. Again, the breathing is your natural state of breath, however it deals with using those techniques. The breath should happen quite naturally. And it's for 3 minutes, the first exercise. And as you start to hear that mantra come in now, just gently close down the eyes. Relax the shoulders, and then just start to join in with the mantra when you feel ready, making sure that you create that constant contraction of the root lock, and then when it reaches its maximum contraction, just release it, keep in with the mantra, and then start the contraction again for the next 3 minutes. Close the eyes and then just join in.
God and me and God are one. 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 God and me and God are one.
with the eyes closed, just focusing on the natural flow of breath once more. So that first exercise is very grounding. It's stimulating the nerves at the base of the spine, which produces calmness. And the body, when it's calm and still, it's much more efficient at doing the job that it's built to do, which is to keep us healthy and to keep us alive. We're going to move into the second exercise by just bringing the hands back onto the knees, palms facing up. And this time we're going to be using Gyan Mudra. So connecting the index fingers to the thumbs and keeping the body nice and relaxed. So just creating an energetic circuit within the body. So just in the same way when we connect a circuit and it creates a specific flow of energy, the same thing here. We're connecting the index fingers to the thumbs to create a specific flow or circuit of energy within the body. We're going to be using another breathing technique for this second exercise. What we'll be doing with the breath is we'll be inhale nice and deep, and then we exhale slowly. But as we exhale, we don't allow the rib cage to drop. So we keep the rib cage nice and tall and propped up, and exhale holding the rib cage up. So slowly exhale to the bottom of the breath. And then once we get to the bottom of the breath, we hold the breath out, and then we start rapidly contracting, pumping the navel as we're holding the breath out until you can no longer comfortably do that. And then it'll be a deep inhale. Fill the body up again. Keep the rib cage lifted. Exhale slowly. Bottom of the breath. Hold the breath out. Pump the navel. Repeat. We've got a few minutes to work with this technique, and it's just going to be at your own pace and rhythm. So just following that technique of inhale nice and deep. Keep the rib cage lifted. Exhale very slowly. Keeping the rib cage lifted. Getting to the bottom of the breath, holding the breath out, and then pumping the navel with nice fast contractions as well. So breaths held out, pumping the navel in and out, contracting it. Then when you can no longer hold it, stop the pumping and then inhale deep. Keep the rib cage lifted nice and tall. Exhale slowly. Come to the bottom of the breath. Pump the navel. So the breath's out, the navel's pumping, it's contracting rhythmically, keeping a nice steady rhythm. Then you inhale deep when you need to take the next breath. So never getting to the point where you want to completely exhaust the oxygen levels, where you're coming into taking the breath and you're really gasping. It should be nice and controlled, that you just identify that you need to take the next breath, then you stop the contraction, you inhale nice and deep. Keep the rib cage lifted. Exhale slowly. Pump the navel. Got just over a minute to go, so make the last minute really count. Really try to start to refine the technique, start to get the most out of it. As I was saying earlier, the way that these techniques work, they'll bring us benefits regardless of how we practice them, but they'll bring us the most benefit when we put the most behind it. So we've got to have that intent to really be focused on what we're doing, controlling what we're doing, and just going through the process, just starting to refine it each time. Each time it'll feel a little bit different. The body is constantly changing. The mind's constantly changing. Our awareness to what's going on is constantly changing. So just keep refining the process. Last 30 seconds to go. Nice deep inhale. Keep the rib cage lifted. Gently exhale, bottom of the breath, hold the breath out, pump the navel. Pump it really vigorously. So wherever you are now, making this the last set. So really trying to work the body now, really trying to stimulate it to its maximum potential to get out of this kriya. Just really get the most benefit out of it that we can. Then inhale nice and deep. Hold the breath, engage the root lock. And then gently exhale. keeping the hands in Gyan Mudra. Following the natural flow of breath. And then the final part of the Kriya we'll come into now. You can just gently open the eyes. So the final postural technique of this Kriya, it is a short Kriya, but the final part of it we move into now, and it has a position that helps stimulate the heart and create circulation above the diaphragm. And we do that by bringing the left hand behind the back and placing it on the right shoulder. So the palms facing away from the body, so it's facing outwardly from the back. I'll show another angle of it, but it's pressed up against the right shoulder blade. So left hand onto the right shoulder blade, the right hand stays on the knee in Gyan Mudra. As we hold this position, we do the same breathing technique as before. So we inhale nice and deep. Exhale slowly but fully. But this time when we get to the bottom of the breath, we engage the root lock and we hold the root lock while we lock the air out of the body. And once again, till that point where we can no longer comfortably hold it. So just before that point of wanting to gasp for air, and then we repeat that cycle of inhale nice and deep, exhale slowly, engage the root lock and just hold and try and sit in stillness. Try and make yourself as physically still as possible when you're at the bottom of the breath. And it's for 3 minutes. So starting now, keep the eyes closed, find that first breath, inhale nice and deep. Exhale fully and slowly and controlled. Engage the root lock and hold, and then find your own pace and rhythm with it. When you can no longer hold the breath, release the root lock, inhale nice and deep. Exhale fully, slowly, controlled, bottom of the breath. Maintaining good form, good posture. Keep that spine nice and straight, crown of the head pushed towards the roof. Find some stability and stillness within the posture. This helps strengthen the heart and it stimulates the nerves above the diaphragm as well as strengthening the heart. So making the most of this final part of the technique. It's a short technique today, but very beneficial, and just making the most of it now. Really controlling that breath, maintaining that good stable position. Inhale deep, exhale slowly and controlled. Hold the breath out, engage the root lock, sit in stillness with that lock engaged. Coming into the last minute or so. So deepening into the technique now, doing as much as you can to really find that sense of stillness, connection to every experiencing happening within your framework of being. So just feel that arm behind the back, feel the breath coming in, being controlled out, the root lock engaged at the bottom of the breath, just the sum of all those parts. Bring it into that totality of experience. Try to not focus on any one area, try to focus on the entire technique as a whole. Last couple of rounds, really breathe deep, controlled. Make sure all of the air comes out of the body. Bottom of the breath, draw that navel point all the way back towards the spine. Really empty the body of its oxygen, engage the root lock, and then sit in that very nice state of stillness. Try to make yourself physically still at the bottom of that breath. And then just finishing your last round off now. And then as you finish that last breath off, holding the breath out, as you release the root lock, release the hand from behind the back, bring it back onto the knee. So both hands now in Gyan Mudra. And just for the last few minutes, sitting in absolute stillness. So even if you get the urge to fidget or scratch, try to ignore that, or just try to let it be. Don't react to any of the physical sensations in the body. Just try to sit in absolute stillness. No controlling the breath, just following the natural flow of breath, and just feel yourself as being light and radiant. So just try to imagine a sense of complete lightness and radiance. So your being, your physical nature is completely light and just radiating natural glowing energy. Relax the shoulders, relax the muscles in the face. Follow your natural state of breathing. So not controlling the breath, just allowing it to be natural. Very, very short Kriya today. Just those 3 exercises and this final meditation, but very effective in what it does. Just observing your natural state of energy in silence for the next 90 seconds or so. And we'll finish the session in a similar way to how we began. And we'll bring the hands together at the heart center, rub them quite vigorously, create a bit of heat and friction in the hands. Then pressing the thumbs into the sternum again, lengthening through the spine one last time, nice and tall, all the way up through the back of the neck, crown of the head pushing towards the roof. Taking a moment to acknowledge the work that you've done, the time that you've given back to yourself. Just turning that awareness in one more time, just focusing on acknowledging yourself and knowing that the practices of Kundalini Yoga work on a very fundamental and deep level. So the experiences that it can create or the self-realization it can bring won't always be apparent or immediate within the practice itself. It's also what it can do in the days that follow. So just taking a moment to check into that and to commit to holding your awareness and seeing what comes of the practice. And just seeing how you feel in the hours and the days to come. Just committing to more practice of self-awareness. See what realization comes of the Kriya. And we always finish the class by using the mantra Sat Nam. Sat is truth, Nam is identity. And then when you're ready, on your next exhale, just bring the hands back down onto the knees, just holding onto the knees, and just gently opening the eyes, coming back into awareness of the room. And that concludes today's lesson. A bit different to what I'd normally teach in class. I've never taught that Kriya, but I hope you've been able to get something out of it and enjoyed the experience. I'm looking forward to making more videos like this. So if there's particular things that you enjoy from these videos, let me know in the comments, or just any feedback in general would be really good. It'll help me moving forward to make better quality videos. But hope to see you all again soon, and hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you. Sat Nam.